Hello class, so I wanted to talk with you about portraiture. So a portrait is an artwork that expresses the likeness of a person, particularly their face. And a self-portrait is a representation of an artist that's done by the artist. So self-portraiture has been around since the early humans, and you can see that in some cave artwork that was done in Spain 40,000 years ago. So this work to the right was created by the artist spraying pigment over their hand, and when they pulled it away, it left an imprint of their hand. Now, this may not look like what you would consider a portrait, because you usually think of a portrait as a face, but nonetheless, this shows the likeness of the artist, and we can consider it a form of self-portraiture. Now, it wasn't until the Renaissance that self-portraiture became popular within Western art, and it's because in the Renaissance, art became more focused on the individual. And here's Da Vinci's self-portrait, which he drew in 1512. Rembrandt is a painter who did many self-portraits, and here's one on the left of him as a young man, and here's one on the right of him as an old man. And I would consider, how difference in expression can suggest a different mood, how difference in lighting can suggest a different mood, how difference in body posture, what does that communicate? The fact that in this work, the artist turned a little sideways, and in this one, the artist is facing the audience more directly. This is two more portraits by Rembrandt. Another one of them as a young man, and maybe another, and then one on the right of him as, let's say, a middle-aged man. Consider what the effect that expression has on any mood or emotion that's communicated. As well as body posture. The fact that this one's a little bit at an angle, what does that suggest? Where this one looks a little bit more upright. Another artist that's very interested in self-portraiture is Van Gogh, Vincent van Gogh. These were all done by Van Gogh, except this Lego one. Van Gogh didn't do Legos. Or this one on the right. This is a photograph inspired by Van Gogh. But all these other ones are done by Van Gogh. And I would want you to consider the fact that context adds to the portrait and what it expresses. The effect that facial expression has to what's communicated. The effect of props, colors, mark making, composition. What effects do these have on the ideas, the feelings that are communicated? Another artist that's very interested in self-portraiture is Frida Kahlo. And her work is very symbolic. I personally don't know what these symbols stand for, but I see a lot of roots, a lot of plant life. Makes me think of growth, perhaps personal growth. It's a very interesting double portrait. What effect do you think it has to have two Fridas? So these are two portraits by Chuck Close. And Chuck Close is a photorealistic painter, which means he makes paintings that look photographic, and they're done from photographic reference. And they're done very large. They're about 6 feet tall. And they're done in this very detailed style. There's one of them is a younger man, and there's one of them is perhaps a middle-aged man. Consider the difference in posture with the position of the face. Like something about his face leaning back to me makes him look a little arrogant. Or he looks a little more humbled in this one. There's another work by him. This is in his pixelated style. An artist that's very interested in portraiture, not so much self-portraiture, but portraiture, is Kehinde Wiley. He's an artist that works in a Renaissance style, okay, both in the compositions as well as the way he paints them. And a lot of his work includes, or a lot of his portraits are of African Americans. And, you know, since this is showing the whole body, consider how the position of the body, what does that communicate? You know, what does it mean to have your hand over your heart? To be barefoot. Here's a triptych by Kehinde Wiley. So now we have another portrait that has multiples. So what do you think? What effect does it have to have multiple portrayals of an individual?